Hello, everybody. This is Gaurav.
Yeah, good morning, Rahul.
Morning, Dr. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we'll just wait for 5 minutes so that others will join and then later we will start.
Got it.
Good morning, Rahul. How are you?
Very good,
I'm
ma'am. How are
Vani.
you? Yes, ma'am. How are you?
You are muted, I guess.
No, I'm not muted anymore. Can you hear me?
Um,
No?
One second. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sushila, Rahul is audible?
Yes, ma'am, he's audible.
Okay. Sorry. I think it's a problem from my end.
Okay.
It's good to see some roll numbers here. I remember mine 1MV 0. I think I was 1MV 05, EC 075.
Okay, 2005 intake.
Yeah, I graduated in 2009. So I
Okay.
think I was 05. So I want 220 is basically year of joining or year of graduation.
No, the 1ME05 is a year of joining.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been 17 years.
Okay. Good,
I don't feel old though.
good to hear that.
Absolutely. I wonder if there's the old staff is still. I don't remember like too many people now from college, but there was one Miss Safinas who
Uh-huh,
was in.
uh-huh.
I think she
She,
eventually moved to MCA something
okay. No, she just shifted to the different college actually.
college.
Yeah.
Professor Khan, I know.
Ah, placement.
He's
And
still
he's still there.
there,
Yeah,
right?
he's still
He's
there.
still there. Yeah, Professor Khan. He was very popular, right?
Yeah.
Known him. And then I don't know who else, right? I mean, I think it's been a
Nagendra
long
sir?
time now.
Nagendra sir, I hope
Nagendra sir, he probably
biotech
would be there,
department.
but I
Yeah.
wasn't in biotech. I was in EC.
Yeah, correct. EC, most of the faculty are new right now.
Ma'am,
Yes,
Priya ma'am is there, no?
Priya Narayan, ma'am.
No.
Yeah,
Yes,
Krishna Priya Sharma.
Krishna Priya ma'am.
Yeah.
Krishna Priya Sharma.
KPS.
Yeah, correct.
She hated me. I don't know if she let us speak.
So you
She and
remember that
we
also.
were we were always at odds. I actually got unfortunately I had one back paper in my entire life, and
Okay.
that happened to be in which one was that? Which was that subject? Which is I don't even remember. There was one signals, not signals. It was I don't even remember. There was one subject that I had a back in, and
Nervous
it
systems.
happened. No. It was in 6, 7 after I got placed, fortunately.
Okay.
So then it happened then, and I've never. I was a distinction holder. I got a distinction with a back. So then I was like in a pretty sticky situation then, and then unfortunately I challenged the reval. Everybody got like a there was one question that was wrong for everybody, but I didn't get the grades for it, so I thought I'll challenge it. And unfortunately, let's say I got 35 or 34 maybe, and after I gave her a challenge reval, it became 20, and that was the first time I. And then KPS was there with me, so I got to check with her. But yeah, KPS and we always are at loggerheads. But it was good fun. College has always been a great memory. So good to be good to be back, really. So.
Yeah, many are joining now.
Yeah.
Pani ma'am, can we start?
Yeah. Let us start. They'll join.
Oh.
How do you want me to do this, ma'am? So I'm just curious to know how you want me to manage it. Do you want it to be an open forum? Do you want me to present it? How do you want me to go about it?
Most of the participants maybe they may not be approachable to you, so the presentation will be good.
Okay.
And if you want an interactive session, you can do it.
I usually like interactive, if that's
But,
okay.
yeah.
It's a lot easier, but I'm open. I mean, whatever works for everybody.
We'll just take it forward how it goes. Yeah. I'll just start. Good morning, all. Myself, Dr. Soumya Patil, Associate Professor, Department of CSE. Welcome you all for the webinar, Entrepreneurship and Innovation as Career Opportunity by our alumni who is now an entrepreneur, Mr. Rahul Sharma. I take this opportunity to thank Principal, Sir MVIT, President IIC, Dr. Supriya VG, Professor and Head, Department of ETE, Vice President IIC, Dr. H.G. Nagendra, Professor and Head, Department of Biotechnology, Convener, Dr. Vanipriya CH, HOD, Department of MCA. I feel privileged to welcome today's speaker, Mr. Rahul Sharma, CEO and founder, AppScript Bengaluru, and his team for today's session. Now I welcome Ms. Netravati, Assistant Professor CSE, to give highlights about Institute Innovation Council. Netravati ma'am, over to you. Ma'am.
Good morning to one and all.
Yeah.
Myself Netravati, Assistant Professor from CSC Department, Serenity. So I just want to know that briefly tell about the IIC. So what is this IIC? We know that all this IIC is an institution innovation counseling where the exactly word come from innovation, institution innovation and the counseling. So this institution innovation counseling to come from the word came from the Ministry of the Human Resource Development, Government of India. This established that innovation cell that we call it as MIC, that is to systematically foster the culture and the innovation amongst all higher education institutes, and the primarily mandate of MIC is to encourage and to inspire and nature young students by supporting them to work with new ideas and transfer them to prototype while they are in formative years. So this MIC, that means Ministry of Health Resource Development Innovation Cell has envisioned encouraging creations of institutions, innovation counseling. They have only encouraged the creation of this institution innovation counseling across the selected, that is, an health education institutes. So a network of these IICs will be established to promote innovation in the institution through the multitudinous modes leading to an innovation promotion. So the ecosystem in the campuses and it's that is proud privilege to announce that Sir MET has established IIC in the year 2020 and we are proud to announce that we got the 3.5 stars rating in the year 2021. So we'll just go through that. What is a major focus of IIC? So the first to create and rebrand local innovation ecosystem and as a startup, we should start up or an entrepreneurship supporting mechanism in health education institutes and prepare the institutes for actual ranking of institution of innovation achievements framework. So that we call it as shortly ARIIA and establish function ecosystem for the scrutiny ideas and pre-incorporation of their ideas and develop the better cognitive ability among us the technology of the students. This is all the major focus what we are when you start up with your IIC. So what is the functions of your innovation institution innovation concept? So promote the innovations in the function through the multi-dimensions modes, that is where leading to innovation promotion ecosystem on the campus and we have to conduct the various innovation and the entrepreneurship related activities that is presented by the Ministry of Health, MIC, and in the time-bounded fashion. So that we have to next is we have to identify and reward innovations and share success stories. Wherein when you talk about the IICs, so the organize the periodic or workshop or the seminars, interactions with the entrepreneurs, investors and the professionals and to create the mentor pool. We should create a mentor pool for the student innovators where they are going to present their ideas. So the network with the peers and the national entrepreneurship development organizations and create an institutions innovation portal to the highlight innovative projects. So all the in our we know that every year we are for the final years they're going to present the final year projects. It's based on the innovative ideas only. So we just wanted that carried out by the institutions, faculty, and the students too also. So organize the hackathons, idea competitions, and the mini challenges, etc. So what are all the benefits as in we attend that IIC as a faculty and as a student? So the no major capital investment required for this establishing this IIC as it make us existing local ecosystem. So the student or the faculty associated with IIC will get exclusive opportunity that is can participate with the various innovative related initiatives and with the respect to the competitions organized by the MHRD. So that is win exciting prizes and will get the certificates of every month and it is to meet or the interact with the renowned business leaders and the top-notch academics. That and the opportunity to nurture and the prototype the new ideas. So when we'll get a new ideas for every time whenever we'll attend IACs as a faculty or as a student. So mentoring by industry professionals and experimentation with the new or latest technologies. Visiting the new places, last but not the least, visit new places and learn a new culture. So this is all about the benefits of institute as a faculty and as a student while attending IAC. I would like to thank all the professors for giving this wonderful opportunity to be a part of this webinar. Thank you, Vinda. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Netra. I now welcome Dr. Vanipriya CH, HOD, Department of MCA, to introduce speaker of today's session, Mr. Rahul Sharma.
Thank you, Sushila. I'm Dr. Vanipriya, HOD MCA, and it's my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Mr. Rahul Sharma. Rahul Sharma is the CEO and co-founder of the globally acclaimed service-based app and web development company AppScript. AppScript is a love child of his passion for technology, the constant urge to create mobility solutions, and being a tech solution provider for leading startups. Rahul was working full-time as an engineer, earning 333 USD per month. He and his two friends started the company in 2011. Rahul comes from a business family, therefore, it influenced his endeavors. In fact, his father guided him initially on the financial aspects of the business. And since they were a completely bootstrapped startup, it helped them to stay lean and focused. Rahul did not believe his startup needed to go for funding, and it always made sense to try and remain bootstrapped as much as possible. So he saved more than expected. There was a time when he used to bid and get projects from freelancers.com for as low as $200. That's how he acquired his first 10 to 100 clients. Rahul did not find the need to allocate more resources other than the freelance portals as he wanted to know how to do it right. He used to bid for online projects because he was doing it well and he was doing it fast. Rahul's unending urge to grow got them listed on the top 1,000 freelancers in the world in 2011 and 2012. Later, he had his old clients referring him back. Up until today, AppScript has delivered over 350 plus apps per year globally with an in-house team of 150 plus developers at an average of 45 days per app that otherwise would take almost 6 to 9 months to develop. His company has encouraged women entrepreneurs by helping them launch successful businesses across the globe. They have received several awards and recognitions from Deloitte, Clutch, Good Firms, and backed contracts from big names like Fortis, LLC, Byju's, Reliance Jio, Deutsche Bank, Tata Steel, Cairn, Coke, Harvard Medical, etc. With AppScript generating an average monthly revenue of $250,000. They are more than hopeful that their company will see a brighter future ahead as a global technology provider. They're doing quite well as AppScript was ranked among the top economic times India's fast-growing 2020 champions and the Financial Times ranking of 500 high-growth companies from the Asia Pacific region. We are proud to have such an alumnus entrepreneur as a resource person for today's event. And we learned from his LinkedIn post that he was the founding member of the first batch of eCell in Serenity IT. It's an honor to have the founding member as a resource person for today's event. And also, I also would like to acknowledge my gratitude to the other founding members of eCell, Darshil Raman Gaudre, Suvir Sadanand, Nikhil Rao, Vikas Jain. Thank you all for introducing the concept of eCell at Serenity IT. And thank you, Rahul, for your valuable time. Thank you. Over to you, Sushila, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. It's really an honor to have Rahul Sharma amongst us. Rahul, over to you now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kind introduction, Vani, ma'am.
Thank you.
To summarize it quite well. Thank you very much. So, first of all, right, very happy to be back. Like I said, the college life was great. I owe a lot of what I do to college, and of course, the entire journey through the ESL program was amazing, right? So it kind of instilled that the required skill sets that you would need to start when to think entrepreneurial. I think that's the main thing. So let me quickly start with the presentation. But it'll be great if if everybody here wants to sort of if you guys want to interject and ask questions at any point, please feel free, because I think that's probably the better way to sort of interact with people. And at the end of the day, I would love to give back to students what they might need, right, to think if they really want to be an entrepreneur. If they have questions, they want to ask me anything at all. Could be anything simple, stupid, doesn't really matter. But I think that's the best way to kind of understand how things work, right? You need to ask a lot of questions. So very open to that. So a little bit about me. I think Vani ma'am summarized it well because I'm a firm believer of. My name is Rahul Sharma, and batch of MVIT, graduated in 2009, electronics department. So got a bunch of jobs, got placed. Mr. Khan sir was amazing. So I got a bunch of jobs, and fortunately, I got my first job with one of my offers. And MVIT allows you to have multiple offers. So one of my offers was with Accenture, right? And I was placed with Microsoft, Addison, Accenture, bunch of these guys, right? And fortunately, I got placed with Accenture, and that's how it started. I was part of their first embedded software program, right? And that got me started into thinking I can do things on my own. So we were put through a bunch of trainings in Accenture, good 6-month training program. Uh, got trained in embedded software, but that bug was always with me, and I really wanted to do something on my own, right? And I had a bunch of friends who kind of had that same urge to do something. So back in 2009 or 10, I started my job. Beginning of, I think it was December 2009 is when I got into Accenture. So first 6 months got trained, learned a lot. But how large companies are, right? You don't get too many opportunities, and I was pretty hungry to learn. And I was trained fortunately very well by these guys. They got me through a good training program. So we started building something, me and a couple of other guys, and that's what we call 3Embed. AppScript is our sort of registered trademark, but the company is incorporated as 3Embed. So there are three of us doing something in embedded software. So that's how we started in 2009. Started dabbling with things, and then like like Vani ma'am said, in 2010 is when I got my first gig through a contact. We started building some apps because we were anyway building the embedded system. I mean, we pretty much brought up our own board using ARM, which is very popular now and very popular then. We built our own operating system. We upped our own kernel, right? We were building an in-vehicle infotainment system. That's what you use in cars to listen to. We were ahead of our times in some ways because in 2009 we had already built a full-on media player inside the ARM board, and it could play. It had sensors integrated for temperature. It had regulation. You could regulate the air conditioner. All of this was built in about 6 months by three three guys who pretty much were amateurs because we just graduated from college. But we managed to build a lot, and the amount of work we did, we ended up consulting guys with like 6-7 years experience in Accenture when we had just about 6 or 8 months because we tried a lot on our own. We learned a lot on our own, right? And that's probably the best way to do it. So that's how I started off. And then in 2011, I knew someone and we were working with Symbian. Symbian is still alive. Nokia was still there. And we had actually ported a version of Symbian into our sort of board, right? So we had Qt Symbian that we had built as an application framework, and we were building apps on top of that. So a gentleman wanted something built. Someone known to me, he was heading a tech company, about 300 people strong. They had a client, and he's like, "Can you help me with an app?" And we had, friends, and all of us, we knew how to build apps then because we were building it for our own product. So that's how we eventually got into app building. And 2011 is when I started building my first app. So this company gave us some gigs for the first 6 months, and we were working with friends. We were just moonlighting. We were doing what we were doing. I had a job, and fortunately, Accenture does not make you work hard. So I got away with doing multiple things, right? And I was an ambitious guy, and all my guys, all my friends close to me were quite ambitious. So we made time, and we had a lot of time, right? We were pulling in, like, I was doing a full-time job, doing this full-time almost, pulling in 18 hours a day. Unfortunately, I still do about 16, 17 hours a day. So that's how I started. And from then on, yeah, we did this freelancer thing, got started, built capital. I changed jobs. I went to HP. I was an R&D engineer, embedded software. From then, again, HP was also kind enough to, it was very, very work oriented. You finish your work, you do whatever you want, right? They never measured time and hours you work. So since we were all very focused, we used to get our work done in record time. I could do a 5-day work in about, I could finish that in about a day or two, right? And I had 3 days open on a week, 3 weekdays open along with the weekend. So that gave me a lot of time to build the business. So along with my job, I was building my business on the sides, moonlighting my way through. I built a team in 2000. I think by 2014, I had already lost a couple of my partners, and we had built a team of about 20 odd folks. Bootstrapped. I had working capital for 6 months, and that's how I started. And then I decided to take a sabbatical from my regular job because you see, full disclosure, right? I'm not the kind of guy who had a bad lifestyle. I love my lifestyle. So the job used to fund my lifestyle choices, right? I could party, do whatever, right? I'm an open guy. I love work. I work hard, I party harder, right? So my job was paying my bills, but I had no dependency and I wasn't taking any funds out of the company. So I grew my working capital for 4 years, bootstrapped my way through, and built a working capital for about 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, I mean, I had that capital in hand, and then I decided, like, okay, do I want to do this or do I want to continue my job? So in 2014, I decided to take a sabbatical. I tried my gig out full time, worked good, felt great, right? Never felt better. And then I decided to take the plunge that, hey, let's do this full time. So end of 2014, start of 15, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And by then my partners had left, so I was the only one doing it. So I got full control of the company. I bought my partner's equity out. And 2015 onwards, beginning of 2015, I've been doing this full time. So that's how I started. And I mean, it wasn't a very conventional way to do things. See, I did startups when they were not popular, right? So when I started doing this, people used to think that you're doing a startup because you didn't get a job, right? And that's the time I started doing this. So this whole startup fad wasn't there, right? And and even when I was in college, and I don't know how it's changed now, and Vani ma'am, please point out if it's different. But when I was in college, engineering, 4 years, it was all a party. Every semester break, we used to go to Goa. All these guys, of ESL, Miss Vani ma'am brought up, good friends of mine, but all partyholics, right? We used to enjoy, but we had an entrepreneurial bug. We had the right attitude, but we used to also like really enjoy, right? And the entire 4 years, I didn't do much, honestly, other than ESL, which happened during the end of my tenure in college. So pretty much every vacation, every semester break, I was out, right, having fun. So that ecosystem that exists now, and maybe Vani ma'am can point out if the whole concept of internships weren't there, right? That's something that wasn't existent then. There were not enough startups, not enough communities available to offer you internships, right? Maybe I got one at Microsoft when I got a placement there, and that was great, right? But that happened in the last year. So that ecosystem to nurture the entrepreneurial mind, right, wasn't existent in 2005 to 2009, talking about that time, right? So things have changed. So the unfortunately or unfortunately, right, I learned it the hard way. So I was literally thrown in, like, I didn't have mentors, right? I had one who gave me my first break, but that's about it. That lasted about 6 months. But other than that, it was pretty much me on my own, learning things the hard way, right? Getting kicked around, thrown around. I mean, I learned it the hard way. So it really hard. The good thing is with experiential learning, you get hardened up, right? But the place where I was delayed was I could have done a lot when I was in college, but I didn't do it, right? I did a lot of it after I graduated from college with my job. So the ecosystem today, by compare it to back then, has changed quite a bit, right? You have so many more opportunities. Uh, Internet's so available, right? During my time, even 100 SMSs were like free, and after that, you had to pay money, right? Internet on your phone was so expensive, you couldn't afford it. Not everybody in college could afford it. I mean, if you're rich, yes. If you're well off, yes. But not everybody could, right? So things have changed, they've evolved. The globalization of the economy has happened. Everything is so available. Knowledge is so really available today, right? There's so many people doing all these cohorts and all these programs. There's so many guys I know, so many kids I know. That I know kids still in college doing startups on the sides, right? So things have changed dramatically. So so that's great, right? That's the big difference between back then and how the ecosystem is today. So I think we are in exciting times. You guys are in a great situation, and I'm hoping the college has evolved as well, and the policies have changed. For example, let's look at BITS, right? The BITS has, I mean, I know maybe the PTU hasn't changed to that extent, but for example, BITS has a no attendance system, right? I mean, you don't have to keep a minimum attendance. You can just keep whatever attendance as long as you get your grades and you clear your exams. You can do whatever, right? So the ecosystem in some of these premier colleges is phenomenal, right? And I'm hoping VTU, MBIT, all of us catch on to that kind of openness to students, right? I think things have changed again with the pandemic. Things have gone remote. Kids are now, you have time at hand. You don't know what to do. I could go out, party, do whatever in my semester breaks. You guys can't, right? Unfortunately. So with COVID, you'll have to probably find other ways of engaging yourselves. So my thing is that it's a great time to think like an entrepreneur, right? I think an entrepreneur does not mean starting your own business alone. It's a way of doing things. It's a way of living life, right? It's a way of doing everything you do. You need to be entrepreneur. You need to be a doer, right? A lot of people just end up spending time thinking. They don't do stuff. So the difference is the entrepreneur, right? To me, is a doer. They do things, right? They think, but they do. They take decisions, right? I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned during my 10 years being an entrepreneur is decision making, right? You need to take critical decisions in record time. Every single day, I can give you an example of my life every day. Every single day in my work, right, in my business, I take literally anywhere between 20 to 50 decisions a day. Small, big, whatever, right? But I take about 20 to 50 decisions a day. That's roughly 2 or 3 per hour, right? So that's the rate at which you take decisions. And that's what then that can happen once you have that experience. So the experiential learning really helps in taking quick decisions, right? You learn from your mistakes, you learn from reality, the real world, right? That's you're not learning from textbooks. So I think this program that the college and the university has organized, and of course, Vani ma'am, Sushila ma'am, everybody here, I think it's great, right? I think it did not exist back then. I can tell you that I never had the opportunity to hear people, right? And to hear doers. And especially if I could hear someone from my alumni, that'll be great. The stars during my years in college were guys who had got placed in T-Shaw, they got placed in Amazon, or they were the rock stars. I mean, see, with all said, right, I have all respect for people who do jobs, and it's obviously you can learn a lot in jobs, but the real rock stars would have been the guys who really did something on their own, right? I mean, they would tell you something that it would be invaluable. Like, I mean, the goal should not be just do a job or get a job, right? The mentality has to shift. It's not all about a job. You're not doing a degree just to get a job. A job is a means to an end, right? But it's not only about a job. Like when I did engineering, I did it. I loved it. I loved electronics. I built a strong fundamental, knowledge of computer science. When you do EC, I believe you learn true computer science, right? Computer science is a lot about system insights, the system programming, system level knowledge, right? New microprocessor, microcontrollers. These are things that I enjoyed, right? It was phenomenal. I loved it. And that gave me strong fundamentals. So I did engineering out of a choice, right? Not because of a job. Job job was more like a badge. Hey, I got 4 jobs, 5 jobs, right? But the real knowledge was all the things that we learned, right? And I think the real knowledge I had was from my friends, right? The friends we made in college, how much we learned from them. And unfortunately, that's one thing that you kids are missing out because you can't attend college anymore. You guys have lost about 2 years of your lives. So I think that's one big thing that you lost out on because all the people ma'am mentioned, Darshan, call him Rada, Suvir, we had a great time. Like we had we are like-minded people. We learned a lot from each other, right? And that's why we ended up doing. We all went different ways, but the amount of learning we had just by speaking with each other, we had fun. We learned, right? We were all ambitious in our own ways. So the learning was phenomenal. So how much you learn from your batchmates and stuff is phenomenal, right? So that's one thing you're missing out on, and I believe that's learning. You learn to work with people in your colleagues, and that's important even when you start your job or you start your business. You need to know how to work with people. So the more you interact with your batchmates, your family, friends, whoever, right? That's the more you learn. So I think that is a very important thing, and that really sets the stones, right? Fundamentally. So I'm again another thing I want to add, right? I'm all about fundamentals. You need to be fundamentally very solid, fundamentally very strong, right? Conceptually very strong. If you're an engineer, you're a programmer, learn fundamentals, learn C, learn data structures, but dig deep, right? I mean, there are kids who do Hacker Rank, Code Chef, these websites are great. But they're training you to just get a job in a FANG company, or now it's called, what's it called now, Mang, right? With Meta. So it's not all about that, right? It's about how much you understand and use it. So it'll be great if kids today, do the Hacker Rank courses and get your Code Chef ranks or whatever, right? But start using that to build stuff, build products, right? There's no time better than now to build products, right? So if you use that knowledge that you learn, I'm not saying you need to practice. It's great to do that, but don't just do it for a job, right? Think of doing something, building something. So that fundamental thought needs to change, right? And if that happens, and that happens now, and it happened late for me. It happened like after I graduated, 4 years later, 2 years later, whatever. I lost time. But for you kids, if you can do it now, right, there's no better time to build products. And You can build products. There's a company called MicroAcquire. Go list it there, build some products, get some traction. Maybe build a recurring revenue of $100,000 a year. Maybe you'll get acquired for $300,000 a year. You do a job, $300,000 about 2.5 crores, right? Two something crores. Whatever you do, even if you do a great job, it'll take you at least 2-3 years to get there. But if you can build a product out of college, you can probably make that money in about 6 months or a year, and you may have not even graduated. So if you're really smart and if you can build stuff right and you have the right attitude, there's no better time than now to do it, right? I think the ecosystem is ripe. Digitization is all over the place. Prime Minister Modi announced the digital rupee. Web3 is coming on. There's a whole shift from Web2 to Web3. So there's a big tech shift happening. There's a big mentality shift happening. There's a big paradigm shift in place right now, right? So it's a great time. There's a lot of capital, a lot of people open to it. There's no right age to do things anymore. You could build startups when you're in college, out of college. So it's a phenomenal time to be entrepreneurial, right? Be it a job or a business or whatever you want to do, right? I think it's a great time to be it. So, I know I kind of went off topic, but so a little bit about me, right? So I've been doing AppScript for about 6-7 years. Like I said, started with 3Mbed, made a pivot to AppScript. This has been on for 7 years. Firm believer of the bootstrap startup, right? I don't, so unfortunately, we only hear news about funded startups. There's a big ecosystem out there of entrepreneurs, and that's 99% of your world, right? And that's of non-funded startups, right? Guys who are actually doing business. So, the way I was taught business was you have to make money. I didn't get the idea of, that thought of not making money out of a business wasn't existent. So I always made money, right? So the fundamental idea was make money out of things. The world has changed. I know things work at scale. Economies of scale are different. But at the end of the day, every business needs to make money, right? That's why a business exists, right? It has to make money. It has to distribute money with people, whoever works with the business, and it has to bring up the economy. So, firm believer of the bootstrap startup. Like she correctly said, I started with $300 and didn't take any money from dad, didn't take any money from anybody. Fortunately, completely ground up, built it up, and doing multi-million dollars in business now, valued fairly well, right? Now, along with that, I am also CTO to YourStory.com, which is run by Shraddha Sharma. I'm also CTO to Edrich. It's an IoT company out of the US. So I'm doing a bunch of things now, right? So that's a little bit about me. Again, I'm happy to, if anyone wants to ask any questions at this point, happy to take them. Do let me know. I'll wait for 30 seconds and otherwise I'll move on. Okay. So again, let's start with, I hope you guys can still hear me, right? I hope Vani ma'am, I'm still audible, right?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, I'm just checking in. It's very quiet, so I wasn't sure.
No, actually, the problem is, Rahul, sorry to interrupt you. The problem is VTU has, it was online classes going on till yesterday. So VTU has announced offline classes to be held from today onwards. So most of the students, they are attending classes seriously from morning. So that's why we didn't get much crowd. Otherwise, always it will be full, like, because Google Meet allows only 100. We stream live in YouTube also. Now also we are doing that. Some of the students, they are attending through YouTube channel.
No problem. I just want to make sure that that people are able to hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So what is entrepreneurship, right? It's more about it's a process, it's a mindset, right? It's about, like I said, it's about doing things on your own. It's more about the mindset, right? It works. It works in a job, it works in your life, it works in anything you do, right? So solving problems, be it personal, professional, at the end, the guy who takes the initiative, right? That guy is being entrepreneurial in some ways. So at the end of the day, yes, you have to solve problems, right? There's a problem. If you make efforts to solve it, that's being entrepreneurial. Creating value, that's important as well, because anything that you do, this is more related to business, right? Even otherwise, right? It's more about creating value. So it's like this, right? You put an input, in an output. So the output might take time, right? So that's how you nurture the business or the idea. So you invest, you create value in your solution to the problem, right? You innovate. So there might be different ways of solving a single problem. If you innovate, right? There are innovations of the ways, if you reduce the So let's say there's a problem, you've reduced the time to solve the problem. That's innovation, right? It doesn't have to be a new. Innovation is not just about building new ideas and new products. It's also about doing things faster, doing things better, right? That's again being innovative. Of course, true blue innovation. If you're a Tesla, you're a Elon Musk. True blue innovation, that's a different thing altogether. If you completely innovated, built something on your own, new idea, you solved a new problem with a new solution altogether. I think that's again being entrepreneurial, right? So, but please bear in mind, it's not just about business, right? The idea of entrepreneurship can be can be implemented in a job, right? You just have to be more. You have to be a bigger doer than the other guy in your job, right? The other guy in your company. Anyone who takes initiatives, goes out of the way to do something, he's also an entrepreneur, because anyone who does that learns more, right? The more you learn, the better you'll do in life, right? That's a thumb rule. More you learn, more you make, more money you'll make, more happier you will be, right? So you have to turn into a doer. So an entrepreneur to me is a guy who does things, right? Who takes initiatives, gets out of his comfort zone. For example, for me, it's not like I don't do presentations, I don't do webinars. It's one of my first few webinars I'm doing, right? Even for example, in your story, Shraddha Sharma keeps pushing me to do stuff, but it's not me, right? I'm not. This is me going out of the way to do something, right? So for me, it's me getting out of my comfort zone to do something. So for me, that's being entrepreneurial, right? And I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I've just been doing things that I've never done. I was not a talkative guy in college. I changed that, started talking a lot. That happened to me, right? So that was being entrepreneurial, right? Anything that you do out of the regular day or out of your regular life, I think is being entrepreneurial. So it doesn't have to only mean business. Please bear in mind, it could mean you doing something better in your job, you taking initiatives. If you do that stuff, you're guaranteed to do better, right? Of course, I'm subject to office politics and stuff. If you minus that, if you do take initiatives, you do something out of the way, you will get recognition, and you will get you know you will bear the benefits of that. It'll definitely benefit you in the long run, right? Who's this for? Passionate, right? So again, people like me, very passionate. We're very passionate about doing things on our own, right? We don't always like being told what to do. Passionate is also like, it's a common sign in backbenchers. I've always been a backbencher in college and school, right? So it's not that the backbenchers don't have passion, right? They don't want to do things, but the backbenchers is always the more. I think they're the more noisier lot. They're the guys who take the risk, right? So that risk taking capability is slightly higher in a backbencher. So that's something that I've always done, and I was a backbencher, and so passion is very important, right? You do anything, do it with passion. You do a job, do it with passion. If you have passion in place, there's nothing that better than that, right? Passion is a very important requirement or ingredient in this recipe to be an entrepreneur. Innovator, like I already spoken earlier, it doesn't have to always mean doing something new. It could also mean doing something better, right? So if you're able to find problems and do something better, do something faster, I think that's phenomenal, right? So the people, for example, there's a company that's now they're trying to do an MBA in about 3 months, right? So they call it Metaversity, I guess. So a guy called Tanay Pratap and ex Mahesh Maheshwari of Twitter, he started this thing. So they've quit their big paying jobs, and now they're trying to do something in the Metaversity space where you could do an MBA in a top college sitting at home, right? And you could expedite that whole journey. So if you're able to learn in 6 months what you learn in 2 years, why not, right? Or what you learn in a year or so in some colleges, you can consume that in 6 months. Experiential learning, learn from the best speakers, best innovators in the industry, right? So that's innovation again. You're doing something better, right? Or faster. You're saving time, right? Learner. Yeah. So the learning thing is important. So see, I was technical but not that great. I'm not, for example, I wasn't the top of my batch. Maybe I was okay, but not top of my batch. So learning is important. The amount of tech I learned after I graduated or maybe after my job was a lot more than what I learned during my job or when I was in college. So learning is important. I learn every day. You read every day. I consume content like there's no tomorrow. I learn a lot on LinkedIn, read a lot, right? Try a lot, right? So go-getter is that. So like, for example, you're moving to the Web3. We've been doing some work on Web3 for a while, but that whole movement to Web3 is so strong that you have to, and it's a disruption in some ways, right? It's a change in thinking. It's a change in perspective. It's a paradigm shift, right? So that's happening. And if you want to adapt, you have to adapt, right? If you don't adapt, you get left out. So learning is consistent. It has to be a consistent trait in an entrepreneur, right? If you have to learn, you can't not learn. That's not a, it's not negotiable, right? So learning is very, very important. During my journey, I've learned a lot. I've dabbled with UX, UI. I've dabbled with marketing. I've dabbled with sales. I've dabbled with tech, right? I've dabbled with recruitment, operations. So there, I know in my business, I ended up doing a lot because I end up spending time on every single vertical. So it's very important to learn. It is not negotiable, right? So it's probably one of the most important things along with passion, right? That you have to have as a, you don't have to have it, you can always build it, right? But it has to be there, right? Go getter, I've already sort of spoken about that. So how do you choose your career? So it's important for kids though. So I've been there, done that, right? I know if you're 20 something, you don't really know what you want to do in life. It's very hard to figure that out. So you need to figure out, and I feel the best way, like I said, is experiential learning, right? So it's hard to understand what you're good at or what you're passionate about till you don't try different things, right? Find your ikigai is the same concept, right? You need to know what you're good at, what the world wants. It's a nice little circle of truth that we'll cover later. So how do you learn? How do you discover what you want to do? How do you discover what you're passionate about, right? So that's another thing that we'll have to figure out. So the thing that works is do internships. I know kids are doing that today, and I think I've had some interns from college in the past. So do as many internships as you can, right? As many as you can, starting from first year. It doesn't matter what it is, do it, right? Even if it's, see, don't never do a free internship. That means that the other companies are investing in you. Try to do something. It doesn't have to be a large paying internship. Don't go behind money. Don't go behind the guy who's paying you more money. Go behind the company which pays you, of course, but go behind the guy who's also teaching you the most, right? And it's important to do internships not just in one line of, not just in one line, right? So if you've already discovered yourself, and let's say I read an article yesterday in the newspaper about this girl who did 20 internships. I think if you read Times of India yesterday or day before yesterday, she did 20 internships in data science, but she was very clear about what she wanted to do. If you have clarity, then build skills, right? In that focused area. If you're clear that, hey, I want to be a data scientist, done. Only do internships in that, go deeper, deeper, deeper. So by the time you graduated, you're already ahead of the curve, right? You're probably much better than the rest. So because you're also passionate, which is what is hard to find. So those people end up doing very well, right? If you're not sure, you're still discovering what you want to do, or if if you're like me, jack of many trades, right? And eventually want to be a master of one. You want to learn. You want to build a business. You want to build. You want to build a community. You want to do something like that. You have to build different skill sets, right? So internships really help. Do as many as you can, right? Do as many internships in different verticals, sales. I think I cover that here, right? What do you want to cover this in? Technology. So technology is a no-brainer, right? And since we're a tech college, we're talking about technical university here. So that definitely is a no-brainer, right? You have to be good at tech. Tech is involved in anything you do. You're a lawyer, you're a doctor. There's tech in everything today, especially in the age of the pandemic and the way the world is moving. So that's indispensable. So you're already at an advantage that you're technical minded. So that's an advantage already, right? So expand that, do more in tech, do different kinds of tech, right? And today there's so many cohorts available. You can always sign up for one, do it in your spare time. So I'm not talking much about tech because that's a no-brainer, right? Product thinking again is an important thing. The world has changed, right? So you need to think product. You need to know how to build solutions. And India's perception has changed from a service economy to a product economy as well. The phenomenal products that are being built in India. Like if you look at some of the apps and the products that have come out of here, is my friend who started Lambda Test, right? It's a testing product, again, valued at $400 million, raised $50 million in capital. Great product, right? Come out, built purely in India, out of India, selling globally, browser stack, right? So these are companies that are Postman, phenomenal products, right? Built by engineers, not too experienced, but they're definitely solving a problem, but they built a product. So product thinking is important. You need to know what's the right, understanding what the product is important. So for that, you need to know the problem. You need to know, what are the different solutions available that solve the problem, how you can do it better. So the product thinking is important, that you need to learn. So if you do an internship in that vertical, that'll be phenomenal. You'll learn a lot, right? You'll know how to kind of, when you start writing code, you start building something, you need to know how it will come together. It's very important to kind of fit it together, right? And how it should be fit together is what a product is. Marketing, important, of course. You need to know, once you build something, how do you get eyeballs, right? You need to know how to get eyeballs to your product. You need to know how to market it. You need to know how to get people to know about it, right? So again, growth hacking, do an internship in some ad agency, any growth hacking company, Social Panga, Mafia. A lot of these companies exist that if you do it there, you end up learning a lot about marketing, how to position your brand, how to position your product, how to get it right, how to make sure that it looks. It has the right fit for its target audience. So the product message is communicated correctly. That's going to come out from marketing. Sales, of course, sales is, if you're an entrepreneur, sales is all, right. Once you build a product, you need to know how to sell it. If you don't sell it, you don't make money. So all the investment that you put into your product goes to the dustbin if you don't know how to sell it. So sales is super important, right? You need to have a crazy sales guy to do phenomenally well, right? So your sales team should be a guy who can sell you air, right? If you have that kind of a guy, you're set, right? Because he's going to get you business. As long as your product is great, it's working, you have a phenomenal sales team, sales guy, you're in a good place, right? So learning that skill is again important. Do sales, sell anything, right? Start with selling some piece of software, sell your friends product, whatever it might be. But yeah, getting sales experience is great. Design, again, it's linked to product. You need to know how to put things together. So putting a good visual is important. You can't have a bad visual. So I know you don't judge a book by its cover, but if your cover is nice, it definitely catches your eye. So, and in the multitude of products available, it's important that you build something that catches someone's eye, right? So you have to make it look good. And look at the products again. Again, I come back to Indian products. Zomato, great looking app. Swiggy, phenomenal. Cred, phenomenal UX, right? I mean, totally different. All built out of India. So UI UX is super important, right? And understanding that, building a skill in that is so important, and that goes along with product. So product and UI UX is a must, right? That's a must skill for any engineer to have as well, because technical people don't always respect design, they don't respect product. But if that thing comes together, if you get product thinking and design thinking and tech thinking, or product thinking and tech in one guy, right? That's like super hard to find. 99% people are not like that. So if you're a product guy and you understand tech, right, you're like the top 1%. You're super important, right? And those guys are super value, because it's very hard to get that in one, right? Very few people do that. And all the people I know have that sort of thing in one. They're doing super well. They're doing phenomenally well in anywhere in the world, right? Social media, HR again. So social media, well, it's more to do with marketing. So I'm not going to stress too much about it. People know about it. HR, again, HR, recruitment, team building, very important again, right? You have to build a great team. That's one thing I learned the hard way. Not all, I've never been like a full-on people person, but when your team grows, and I've seen that happen with me. So when your team grows, everyone's different, right? So you have to be human to understand everyone's line of thinking. I learned it the hard way. I've made several mistakes in that spot, and a lot of people maybe in this call also might vouch for that. But it's difficult, right? It's a very difficult skill to have, and you need to build it. Again, you need to know how to deal with people. It's super important that you learn that, right? You need to learn to deal with people, learn with clients. I've screwed up meetings with clients. I've got upset. I've had fights. I've gone to grit. Like all sorts of things have happened. So having HR skills is not just HR is it's only recruitment. It's more about, it's not just human resourcing. It's also human thinking. It's also about how you manage and deal with people, clients, everything together, right? More people skills, I would say, are important. So if you get a chance to do an internship in that, it'll be phenomenal, right? Just so that you know how to hire people. In today's world, it's very hard to hire. You don't find the right fit, right? And you're always compromising. But if you have the right, if you know and understand people very well, sometimes people join your company or your business for you, right? For you as a person, less for your company. So if you are able to build that skill set and understand people, right, a little bit of psychology, then that'll be phenomenal, right? So I believe internships in as many verticals is important. Do as many different internships as you can. That would really help you to, build a repertoire of skills, which is what is needed if you want to do something on your own. Coding, why? This is no brainer again, right? You have to know programming. It's essential. You have to learn programming. Don't just do it for passing your lab exam, right? Do it for it being an important skill, right? You have to see. It depends how you go, right? If your career heads towards product, you don't have to code, but you still have to understand code. You need to know A plus B is C or whatever, right? 1 plus 1 is 2, whatever. You need to understand the logic. That is important. So that skill, if you don't like coding, it's fine, but at least understand what it does, right? Understand what it can do. And I don't code anymore. I've not coded for years, right? But I understand it very well, right? So for me, that architecture skill, architect kind of mentality, like learning that I've had is important, because now it's hard for my team to take me for a spin. I mean, they do end up taking me for a spin at times, but my chances of being taken for a spin are a bit lower. So that means the productivity that I get out of my team is higher, right? And my understanding, when my clients talk to me, I talk to them product, business, I talk to them tech, I talk to them all about all these things together. So it really helps me sell. So you need to know what it does, right? You need to have a technical bent of mind. In today's world, it's very important. So if you get that, I think, again, a lot of power to you, right? You'll end up doing very well. Develop skills, how, right? Find problems. It could be, as I'll give you an example of this guy doing a DU student. I hire interns from him for Web3. 20-year-old, maybe 19 years old, right? He knows that people want Web3 guys, for example. Like, I want to invest, I want to build my Web3 team. For that, Web3 is basically blockchain, crypto, whatever, right? However you recognize it. So he's built this company that is just, he's just finding interns, college students all over, and he's getting them hired in companies. So he knows that's a problem, and he's very clear. I'm only going to do this in AR, VR, augmented reality, virtual reality, positioning himself, like he's positioning this whole internship play on the metaverse space, right? So he knows that, hey, this is VR, AR is, people are investing in it. For example, this see, Facebook changed its name. That's a big deal. Changing name for a company like Facebook costs a lot of money because they have so many things, so many logos. They got to change it everywhere. If they've spent billions just to change their name, just to get the meta word in their name, that means it's a big deal. There's a lot of investment going on in the world in that space, right? So this guy saw that happening. So he's just built a single vertical, two verticals. He's getting internships for students only in the space of AR, VR, and Web3. Great guy, very entrepreneurial, very young guy, 19-year-old, right? Doing phenomenal, but he found the problem, right? He's found the problem that people are not able to find the right kids to invest. I mean, they're not able to find the right skills, right, in the regular market for these areas. So some of these highly skilled college students like yourselves, right, who are very skilled at something, and you're very passionate about it, if you're able to find them and you connect them with companies happy because they found someone who's passionate about the skill that they want to invest in. Second, it gives them an opportunity to do a pre-placement offer, right? So you get time to build a relationship, and then if the relationship is great, you convert it. So he's solving a problem. So finding a problem is important. Building connections. He talks. You speak with the kid. Again, I'm taking him as an example. You speak with the kid. Very energetic. He's all over. He's a social. He's got a social influence in place, right? He's got thousands of followers on LinkedIn. He does all these crazy posts. You know how kids do it. I'm sure you guys do it as well. So you do all these crazy posts, very cool posts and stuff, and he gets people to follow him. So he's built a network. He's built connections in the social world, LinkedIn, whatever, Instagram, blah, 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 right? So he's got his whole mafia behind him, and he posts something, gets 500 likes, right? So, and that's a great way to propagate his idea. So he's done that. He's built connections, and he gets business through connections. He doesn't have a straightforward site, but he's making money. So that's great, right? For a kid in college, he's making a decent amount of money. Collaborate and learn. Again, take the example of this KD collaborates. He calls me up. He's like, Rahul, what do I do about this? How do I take my business to Northern America? How do I get kids internships in American companies? So he's collaborating. He's learning. He's talking to people, right? He wants to know what he can do next, right? So that's a great way to do it. You need to be people. You need to have people skills. You need to like the things that I don't have, right? I didn't have in college. If you build people skills, you talk, you collaborate, you're willing to learn, right? You don't have an attitude, ego. you end up going a long way because people like you, they'll work with you, right? Business, trust me, 95% of our business is relationships, right? People who trust me, who like me, get me the best business that I do today, right? So collaborating, learning, talking to people, building connections, you need to start doing it. That's a very important skill. Wait, what's your ikigai? So again, a Japanese word, right? Do what you love. You need to figure out what you love. I hope if you don't already know it, do internships. Maybe you'll discover it. What are you good at? During internships, again, figure out, okay, what are you, get feedback. Ask your colleagues, people in the company you're working in, or the group of people you're working with, whatever. What do they think you're good at, right? It's important you need to get feedback. The feedback loop is important. And that'll make you start thinking again that, hey, people are saying I'm good at this. Do I love it? If I love it, great. If I don't, then again, go back and see what's the second best option. What the world needs is a problem, right? Again, I just gave you an example for this. What can you get paid for? Again, so if you build a skill, so you'll have to figure out what you get paid for, right? Like in this case, this kid was getting paid for getting interns. I paid him money to find me a good intern who's motivated. So you get paid for it. So you need to monetize that skill or that idea that you want to build, right? So that's an important thing. You need to know how to monetize. So, and then of course, once you discover it, then you figure out if this is where you want your life to go, right? Is this what you want to commit to for a longer time? That's an important thing. Again, something that's not easy to figure out, right? Because there's always like example being, right? So when I was doing my job, there was a point I needed to decide, right? Like I wanted to go to do I want to go to continue and get a new job and get paid more money, or do I want to take a plunge into entrepreneurship? It was hard to sail two boats after 3 years. 3 years of 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, kind of became difficult. You had to take a call, right? So I had to figure out if I could do my business for a longer term, right? So I had to commit, right? So this was a time the see the apple is always dangling, right? You always have that job. So I was being paid X, right? And my friends were making 3X, for example, right? And I always had that option of making the 3X, right? And that was for a long time. And you know how it goes, right? Family, friends, everyone says, hey, get a job, change your job, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm building value in my idea. And I found my ikigai, right? So I was like, okay, do I want to do this for a longer term? I said yes. 2014, I took that plunge and no looking back since then, right? If I had continued on a job, I would not be where I am today. And if I had to be where I am today, it would take me 25 years at least of working my job. So if you discover your ikigai, you do fairly well, right? And like I said, the only way to do well is not raising money from other people, raising funding is not the only way to success, right? And it depends what you define as success. I'm a very happy guy. I have a very good family life. I have a great, I have no bills to pay. All my bills are paid for. I've got all my fancy things. No complaints really, right? So if you do discover your ikigai, you'll do much better than the rest. That's definitely going to happen. More about entrepreneurship, right? Also, one second. There's another thing that I would like to cover. Vani ma'am, am I over time or something, or I'm okay?
No, okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay.
We would like to hear from you. I mean, you are a great speaker. Like, you should accept that proposal from your story.
Absolutely. No, I'll think about it. This is me testing the waters. So yeah, see, the world today, right? I'll talk about two types of entrepreneurs, right? So so today the world is different. So the creator economy, I don't know if you heard about it, right? But that's happened. People are not just it's not just about building a business. You could be a business on your own, right? So the solopreneur concept is super exciting, right? I'm sure you've heard about content creators and bloggers, stock traders, public speakers. I know someone who does belly dancing for a living, right? So the solopreneur concept is phenomenal today, right? I mean, the world is opened up so well, right? So you don't really have to be a conventional employee anymore. So this whole idea of being a solopreneur is super powerful, right? So I mean, what it means, right? Examples, it's easier to understand through examples, right? So you could be a freelancer, you could be a content creator, right? You could be a coach, online coach, digital marketing coach. There's a guy I knew, I followed. He ended up, he built a company called Growth School. He was marketing head for Uber, and then he did start doing something on his own, and I think he recently raised about $5 million. So phenomenal, right? He started off as a content creator, a coach, marketing coach, right? Then he expanded that. So when he was a solopreneur for a while, and it worked out well. He said, okay, I can scale this. He built a whole team of solopreneurs, and then became a business, raised money, right? So he went that route. So it's a phenomenal way to do things today. You could be a solopreneur any day, anytime, right? Independent thinking. You have the best part is, the benefits, right? I mean, I'm sure if you guys read more books about business and tax accounting and stuff like that, you would know that when you are running a business, I mean, job versus business, right? You pay your tax first in job. You get your salary after you pay taxes. When you do a business, you pay your taxes after you spend, right? So when you're a solopreneur, you get the same benefits, right? You end up you expense first and then you pay your taxes. So a gig worker or a solopreneur versus a job. Sometimes if you get a chance to be a gig worker, you can probably take it. You work your own terms, you pay your taxes later, you expense things first, you spend first, right? So it's a great option. It's a great option available to everybody today. There are a lot of independent programmers. I know people are consultants. My someone in my family just became a solopreneur, right? He's making 3x what he did by becoming a solopreneur, right? And he works on his own terms. He works out of anywhere. He travels to Europe, works out of there, goes to the Middle East, goes to Dubai, chills, works, right? Works on his own terms. So it's a phenomenal option. Again, something you could explore. Uh, and especially if you're a one-man army, you're good at something, you don't, you want to do stuff on your own. Solopreneur is a great option. Entrepreneur, of course, small businesses, build businesses, build startups, social entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, eco entrepreneur. Today, that's a big thing, right? Sustainability is so important today. A lot of companies raising money in that space. Sustainable transportation, sustainable e-commerce, ecopreneur, right? Someone's doing lake conservation, getting so popular. Things catch on, right? So that's being an entrepreneur. I mean, two options: solopreneur versus entrepreneur. The two routes you can take, right? So the roadmap for the entrepreneurship roadmap, it's about opportunity recognition, right? Innovation, implementation, right? You do a competitor analysis, see, what's out there. And I can always help you if anyone wants to know more about analyzing competition, analytic, like over an Excel sheet, very analytic. Like you want to put get things into black and white, and you want to generate a score sheet. I'll be happy to help you do that. So you recognize the problem, right? See if there are workarounds available. If they're not, or if the workarounds are good enough, not good enough. See if there's a solution available already. How well are they solving it, right? See if you can do it better, right? And what is the value? You need to identify the value you bring on board. So, and you need to identify the size of the market, right? So, it makes sense to have a small pie in a large market, right? If there's enough white space available, you could build a small solution, but the growth is phenomenal because the market's huge, right? Or if you want to be if you want to build something in a tighter, more vertical marketplace where the market's not that big, but you can take a large share of it, then again, that seems like a good opportunity, right? So market sizing is important to understand what is the potential your idea has or your solution has. So identifying the market is important. So that, sometimes you're not always best fit for it. So if you build the right connections, right, and you build the right network, the network helps you understand what is segmenting, targeting, market sizing, right? So if you grow a good network and you do those internships that we spoke about, your network would grow and someone can help you with it, because it's not always easy for a kid out of college to do it. So but that's so important, right? To understand what's the scope of your idea. So then you start building, innovating, solutioning, get it done, right? Launch it. MVP is important, right? MVP is something you should be ashamed of. If it's not something you're ashamed of, then it's not an MVP. You've hit it too late. So you need to hit market. You need to hit market soon, and it's okay to be ashamed of it, right? You should see how all these companies were when they started. Ola, and they were just one single button on a screen, right? So if you're not ashamed of it, it's not an MVP, right? So build an MVP, roll out. Time to market is essential. You need to hit the market fast. You want to fail, you fail fast. Don't fail late. Don't invest thousands of dollars and then fail. Invest some, fail fast if you need to fail. But if your MVP clicks and you got some basic, acknowledgements of it being decent, then go start understanding the market better, start growing it, start growing profit, growth for profit or growth for scale, right? So there are two ways. So growth for profit is what people like me do. We think about profitability more than scale, right? So you would say in 6 years I have scaled only to like maybe 200 odd team of 200 odd folks, but there'll be another company that did that in 6 months, right? So you need to identify but it depends on the problem you're solving. I'm a people-driven business at the end of the day, so people are the problem. But if you build a product that's software, right, then the scale is infinite. So if you build a great SaaS product solving a very simple idea, you're in a good spot, right? So you can scale phenomenally well, right? So you need to identify how you can scale your business, right? So and how much can it scale, right? When do you achieve profitability? Like all these funded companies, they don't hit profitability they don't become profitable for 10, 15 years, but that's economies of scale, right? They build a great, huge market, right? So understanding that happens after you do MVP. So launch MVP, market it, get people agreeing on giving you feedback, see how it's a good product market fit. Then based on that, at this point, again, go to your network, find some SMEs, subject matter experts who can give you feedback, right? Learn how you could grow it and what level you can grow it to. Then invest more time, build a company, build a business, build people, invest, right? Start growing it. And then innovate, right? And at that point, you decide, hey, do I need capital? Is it something that needs capital? Then you go the funding route. If it is a business that you've built, an idea that you've built that is making money, right? For example, take an example of MailChimp. MailChimp, it sold for like 11 or 12 billion dollars to some company a few months back, and those guys did not raise money, right? They were just bootstrapped. So the founders made like out of 11 or 12 billion dollars, they each made like $6 billion because they just had two partners in that, right? They didn't have any venture capitalists on board. So you could build and zero the Nikhil Kama, Nitin Kama, they're friends of mine, right? So phenomenal, right? They don't have VCs on their board. They're a bootstrap company that's worth a few $1 billion, right? And these guys make like, I think last year we read the papers, I think Nikhil Nitin Kama took salaries of 100 crores each, salaries, or 200 crores each or something like that. Phenomenal, right? You don't make that kind of money, even if you're funded, the CEO salaries are not like that, right? So the amount of money you can build or you can make out of a bootstrap business is phenomenal if you can scale it. So if you're able to build a bootstrap business and on top of that you're able to scale it, then that's like the maximum money you can make. You can make a lot of money, right? So, but you need to take a decision. That decision has to happen. It has to happen at some point. So that happens a little later after you hit a certain scale, right? This I've spoken about. Reduce your time to market, scope of growth, comparative analysis, validate your idea, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this also I've covered. You don't have to always raise money. Also a decision about not raising money depends on your lifestyle, right? Like people like me, I didn't want to raise money. I don't want a headache, right? I don't want someone on my back trying to push me all the time, trying to make me more, trying to just chase me for making more money. I want to do it at my own pace, right? I want to have my family. I have a great situation here. My office is right opposite my house. I walk to office. I eat my 3 meals at home. I drink my tea and coffee at home, right? I'm not exposed to pollution. I love my life. My other two offices are in a different city, being managed by somebody else, right? So I have it's a good spot to be in, right? If I need to raise money, someone's going to be on my neck, right? He's going to chase me to make more money all the time, not give me enough time with my family, with my son, with my dogs, maybe. So you need to take a call. It's a very personal decision that one takes, right? So how much is enough? So that is also very important. The ikigai thing works here, right? You need to know how much is also enough. And what are you happy with, right? What's your Hakuna Matata situation? So knowing that is very important. Spoke about solopreneur, entrepreneur, right? Things that you'll have to do is choose your poison, right? You're building product, you're doing services. Services, you're doing something like me in some ways, right? Although we do products as well, but need to know which direction you want to go. You want to build a service business, urban companies, a service business. Even to some extent, Swiggy is a service business. They're delivering food, right? So need to know what product or service. Those are the two routes that you can take, right? So you need to also understand the difference. So that's something that I hope that once you go through these internships and stuff that you could potentially do, you will be able to also understand what a product or a service is. So that's something you need to choose. Q&A, yeah, that's it from me. Open to questions. Do let me know, ma'am, if there's anything else that any other insight I could share. I think from my end, this is all that I wanted to kind of talk about.
Thank you, Rahul. Students, any questions? Anything you want to share with Rahul?
Good morning, everyone. I have a question. There are a lot of times when entrepreneurs feel everything is, great. The plan is great. The business plan is good. The funding is coming in, but a lot of business fail. We don't see any testimony, or we don't hear stories about the.
No one wants to
make sure the business. It's either a luck or corona or something.
Tanya, I've lost you midway. So what was your last bit? How do what? Can you please complete that again?
A business after a failure, what are the tips, or how do we come up after we have incurred losses and gone down?
See, it depends. So, see, there are two things. You spoke about people raising money and then failing, right? So that means they've blown not their own money, but they've blown somebody else's money. So VCs do that, right? So VCs don't. They're not like a bank. They won't save you for bad debt. So two ways, right? If you have spent your own money, then of course you're in trouble. You got to figure out what to do, right? That decision has to be taken whether you can afford to continue being an entrepreneur, right? So there is a risk to everything. There's a risk to a job. There's a risk to a business, right? So uh, again, when I took the plunge to go full time into this, I built working capital for 6 months, right? So that I could continue running my business for 6 months, even if I did not make money. But that's the risk you take, right? That's a calculated risk that one needs to take. That's if you're doing it on your own, right? The VC route is a bit different. I've seen people grow up $50 million, people who are valued at $500 million, who tanked, right? So that happens. And how do you get out of it? Well, if it's VC money, it's blown. You go back and start again, right? If you want to start again, catch a job, do a job in an area that you want to probably do your next venture in, learn about a new vertical, learn a new business. You have to move on, right? Now, the mental impact of it depends on how much money you blow, right? If you blow money that you can't afford to blow, then you're in trouble. So that's the thing. Then you go the more sedate route, the route that I took, right? I built my working capital, but that took me 3 years to build, and I was doing a job in a business, right? And I took a calculated risk. So if I would have blown the 6 months, it would have blown, right? But I wouldn't have like got screwed and come to the roads. I took a conventional route, but that route is longer. Today's today, at least in today's world, people don't have patience, right? Like you want a job, you want money today, you want money tomorrow. So that if you're not patient, then you do the more aggressive route where you might end up losing a lot, right? But you fail fast. So the idea is that you fail fast, you pick up yourself fast also, and start all over again, either a job or a business. But you have to move on. Yeah, you have to be mentally very strong, right? So that's one thing you learn when you become an entrepreneur. You have to be mentally very strong. You take very difficult decisions every day, and the mental impact of all this is very high. The stress. I think there's an article I wrote, or I can share with you guys, about the mental trauma that an entrepreneur goes through. It's phenomenal, the pressure, right? But that's so you need to know if you can take it, right? So that's why the internships I feel are great. That exposure, that you want to live that life, that exposure you might see. If someone lives my life, if my guys in my office, they look at me every day, then they can take a call whether, yeah, do I want to be like this guy? So that experience they can get if they work with somebody, right? So you need to know, and if you fail, you fail. Yeah, too bad. You need to move on. You need to be mentally strong.
Okay, thank you, Rahul sir, for your valuable input.
Yep. Thank you very much for the question.
Any questions? Any other question? Students? IIC members? Any questions to Rahul? Okay. Vanima?
Yeah.
Can we?
Pardon, Sushila, I can't hear. Thank you so much, Rahul. Actually, no, I just wanted to give some, the pinch of information about this IIC. We, as Netravati told in the beginning, so we had established this IIC in the college in 2019, and from that time onwards, we are conducting these sessions. And mainly, we are contacting the alumni who are the entrepreneurs, so that the students will be more interested in the stories of entrepreneurs who are alumni. So till now, I think around 25 alumni we had contacted. I mean, through LinkedIn, and no, we are conducting these kind of sessions, and also in the college, like as you said, many of the students, they are doing the internships, not only one internship, more than one internships, and also they are participating in the hackathons conducted by this Ministry of Education, every year, and also like they're participating in the hackathons conducted by these IT giants like Google and all, and also they got some funding. And last 2 years back, some three students from different branches, they came together and they came up with some drone, amphibian drone that will be that can be used in the water as well as on the ground. So they got some prizes. They got prizes from defense minister, and also they won prize during this air show, which will be held usually in Air Force Station Lanka. They're doing great actually. Compared to, like you said, you're passed out in 2009, right? Okay, so but now that the scenario has been changed, even VTU also 2021, they are focusing on all this design thinking, entrepreneurship, and these things. They had introduced one subject also on this in the first year itself, and also they are insisting on the internships. It's a compulsory internship for all the students after after first semester. They had to go through that internship. And recently, under this umbrella of this IIC, we had conducted the Ideathon, and we are planning to come up at least one or two products when the students they reach final year. We are planning to produce at least some 3 to 4 entrepreneurs from each batch. So that is from the update from the college regarding this entrepreneurship, innovation, and all.
Yeah, it's great to know, ma'am. I think that's what I said. Things have changed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good that college is changing, and I'll be happy to onboard interns and even fund some hackathons in the college.
Oh, that
If we
is
can find some great engineers, or if anybody comes forward to has an entrepreneurial bend and wants to build a product, I'll be happy to fund or invest. So
Yeah,
please
sure,
let me
sure.
know.
Thank you so
That's
much. I
great,
mean, it's
Rahul.
very great help for MVIT. Actually, we are looking forward because no, we are the teachers. Like we are mainly focusing on completing the syllabus and whatever is like we don't have time also to look into all these things. But if the alumni come forward and they try to help the juniors, it will be a great help. Thank you so much.
Absolutely happy to help.
Yes, 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 sir. I'm saying that. Yeah. Um, okay. Rahul, you may be knowing we are live streaming your session in YouTube. So there's one question from Ritesh Gaur. How important is family support and their support for your passion?
So that's super important. So fortunately, my like you correctly said, my family, my father was a business guy, a lot of support. So funnily, my parents trusted me more than anybody else. So they pushed me. They're like, "Why are you doing a job? Just do something on your own." So they did that from day one. So the trust and support ecosystem that they provided was phenomenal, right? And fortunately, I didn't take money from my parents, but they did not even. I think they didn't need the money from me anyway. So that comfort was there. So I was running on low risk, right? So the support system every day. So that's super important because every day when you go back home, you're traumatized in some ways, right? So that if I for me, like I said, I live my office is right next door. So I go back home, I chill, like have my tea with them, I have my breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything at home. The conversations are always about what's going on. The emotional support has been phenomenal. Same with my wife. My wife, when I got married to my wife, and a big reason for that was she had worked in a startup. So she understood that mentality, right, and the stress that one goes through. So she's been super supportive. So has been my family. My family. Some of my family is part of my business today. So they've been super supportive, and you go through it's a terrible run sometimes, right? There are ups and downs, and you're just navigating through that needs a lot of support. So I would say family support for me personally has been very strong, and I value it a lot as well. For me, it's very strong, and I value my family a lot. It's a big thing for me, right? So I think that's been everyone's been super supportive. So I definitely thank them all for that support that I've got.
Yes, I think you are very lucky to have such a supportive family. Any other questions, audience? Yes, sir. I think you can share, sir.
Yeah, she's my ex-employee, so thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So she's just a lot of my ex-alumni from my office are doing phenomenally well in life, and they're doing very, very well because the culture that I always had was do things right and do epic shit. If you want to do, that's a book also now by a gentleman. So so glad to hear that, and that's a very important thing in business. You need to build value in the people who work with you, right? And I hate the word employee, right? I always think, okay, everyone's a part of a team, everyone has objectives. So if everyone derives value from it, and if they can leave a mark in their lives in some way, I think there's no better karma than that, right? So I'm very happy to have that impact on people from my alumni from my office. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
So I have a question. Like, is it really necessary that you're really good at something to get an internship in that thing?
Don't have to be good at it. That's the thing, right? You need to have a desire to do it. So it depends on the company that is onboarding you, right? So let's say there's a situation you want to learn something and that company is not ready to onboard you, and there are a lot of other companies doing the same thing anyway. But if you need to compromise, take a hit on salary, tell them, hey, listen, I really like your company and I really want to be a part of it, and I don't want to pay. If you're worried about paying me, okay, screw it, I don't want money, just take me on, I want to learn, right? So if you're open about it and you really chase the right people on that company's board, like the executive team, you can get through. So you don't have to be good at something, man. I mean, it's great if you're good at it, but if you're also a very energetic learner and you throw the right attitude, that's good enough here. So at least from my eyes, I will have no problem hiring an intern who's really game on doing something. Maybe he doesn't qualify. No problem. If he's really shows a strong intention to work with me, I'll tell him just start working, man. It's okay. Maybe I won't pay you, but once you start showing value, you can then pay him something. So you don't have to be good at it. If you're good at it, then it's not worth it. No, I mean, if you're good at everything, then why do you even need to do an internship? The idea of doing an internship is to get better at something, right? So.
Yeah, thank you. Because I was learning, I was into UI UX for past 1 month. I was learning it, so I found this thing very much interesting. So I thought I was looking for internships, whether I should be good at it first or whether I should go to this. I should have a basic knowledge and get into some internship, something like that.
See, it depends. It depends on intent. You show intent, you don't know anything, then show intent. Second, if you've spent a month, just do some basic portfolio building. No, just build a couple of designs. Just show your intention to do something. At least so the guy on the other end thinks you put some effort. So once you communicate that you put some effort and it's a genuine effort, not some copy paste like how we did our engineering projects that we just bought them from somewhere. Don't do that. Put some original effort into it, and if you do that, right, then you will definitely get on board. People want to see intention. Yeah, the intent has to be there. If you show intention, you'll get through.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any more questions, audience? Vanina?
No questions, Sushila. We can wind up.
Okay. So in midst of your occupied schedule, Thank you, Mr. Rahul, for sharing your knowledge and your journey with the participants. Thank you, Rahul. And I thank our trust, Shri KET, for providing an opportunity to conduct this event. I thank Dr. V.R. Manjunath, Principal Sir, MVIT, for his support. I even want to thank Professor and Head ETE, Dr. Supriya VG, President IIC, and Professor and Head Biotechnology Department, Dr. H.G. Nagendra, Vice President CH, for giving me an opportunity. I sincerely thank all the participants. Thank you. Thank you. Really a nice
Very
session.
much, everybody.
Yeah.